Freach, summer's officially over. Here we go. It was the news we've been waiting on. Your reaction to not only the number, the timing of everything. This was something that maybe we felt like could, trickle into parts of the season, but officially pen to paper now, and it is a done deal in Edmonton. Your reaction?
Well, first of all, I think the biggest surprise obviously was the number. I didn't think it was going to be anything very high. There were a number of people who felt last week that when Kaprizov signed, oh, he signed for 17, McDavid's going to sign for 20. I don't think that was ever the case. I don't. As a matter of fact, I thought the number was going to be between 14 and 15. So I was really surprised when I saw it was 12 and a half. But I'm not surprised by the term. I'm not surprised at all he signed. I thought he would sign. Eventually, I think he just wanted to kind of send a message to the Oilers, never to take them for granted and always have the pedal to the metal and be about winning above all else. But I will say, when I saw the number, someone sent me the number. I was like, I did a double take. I was like, are you sure that you didn't make a mistake here? Because I didn't believe it the first time I saw it.
Yeah, Elliot, our group chat was going off when you had posted that on X. And I believe someone commented, it might have been Brandon in research, or someone commented, Elliot spelled 22.5 wrong. This just screams to me.
Brian, I don't have a university degree, but I'm not that dumb, okay? I just want everyone to know that, okay?
Oh, perfect. But this screams to me, like, I just mirror like what we went through last year, and there was a lot of speculation surrounding Sidney Crosby, and there was, I believe you guys interviewed him prior to the season. You'd asked him some questions. This year, sort of similar. Prior to the season, you interviewed Connor McDavid. There was, not a lot of inflection in his voice. He was very calm about the whole ordeal and ultimately signs for the same cap hit. Sid signs, obviously, his 8.7 extension last year. Is he taking a page out of Sid's book? He looks up to him as a player. Is there anything to do with that loyalty that he wants to emulate, maybe 87 in Pittsburgh?
I don't know if I would use the word loyalty, Brian, but I do think the similarity is that they both want to win and never want to be seen as an impediment to their team's winning. Not that you could ever imagine it. Like, how could you ever look at Sidney Crosby and say he's an impediment to a team winning? Or how could you ever look at Connor McDavid and say he's an impediment to a team winning? But I think one of the questions I've asked is, did McDavid speak to Crosby during this process to get that kind of idea? And right now, I don't have anything that tells me yes. I don't know that he actually did, but I do think it shows you that what these guys care about the most, more than anything else, is winning. And, the one thing about McDavid is, what he did this year was show that he's all about winning with both what he did to pressure the Oilers, kind of, and B, the number he took. And that's the similarity between those two players. Like, Crosby's now won. He's won 3 times. He's won 2 Olympic gold medals. He's won 4 Nations. Like, he's won everything. McDavid has the 4 Nations championship, and now he's going for more. And I think the 2 losses to Florida the last 2 years have made him even more fanatical about winning the Stanley Cup and getting there. And I think at the end of the day, this number was all about, if I can't sit here and say I'm all about winning, and then with Draisaitl making 14 and Bouchard making 10 and a half and Nurse making 9 and a quarter, even though I deserve every penny I get, I can't talk about winning and then sign a contract that's going to prevent us from doing so. So I think it's a great question. And I think what the similarity is they're all about the W's.
Certainly is, and it indicates that based off what Connor McDavid signed for when he easily could have commanded, what Kirill got, $17 million per year, or even higher than that. So that being said, what does Edmonton do now to show Connor that they are all in and they want to win? Do they make a massive splash at the trade deadline this year? Is this more of an off-season next summer kind of thing? Where do you think Edmonton's path now leads?
I think Jameson, first of all, they signed Jake Wallman today. They got him signed at 7x7. And I think they're going to work on something with Ekholm. And I'm not sure if it's going to be a short-term deal or a Chris Tanev type deal where the term gets spread out so that they can get to a number. But I do think they're working on something with Ekholm as well. So I think to start this year, their defense will be a little bit better than it was at the start of last year. Edmonton with this signing, like I think at the year, you're going for it every year right now, Jameson. Like every year you're all in. You're going to the playoffs, you're saying, what are we short? How can we get it? What do we have to address it? Now the Oilers are trying to put some futures in the lineup this year, Savoy and Howard among them, and they don't have a ton of futures right now. It's harder for them to make moves because of that, but I think they're going to be in every year. And then Jameson, whatever happens this year, next summer they're going to have about $20 million. So I think they're going to be out there. It's for them. It's the message has been sent every year. We've got to put the pedal to the metal, and we've got to be all in.
Yeah, Elliot, looking into the future a little bit, if we can, if they're not pedal to the metal or these moves don't work out, does this 2-year extension perhaps soften the blow, maybe amongst McDavid and Oilers fans saying, listen, I did everything I could. I tried to bend over backwards to make this thing work. Everybody would be devastated if he had left Edmonton, but would this potentially soften the blow if he ultimately ever came to that point?
Well, it's tough, Boiler. Like here they are celebrating and dancing in the streets in Edmonton. And you're talking about 3 years from now. This could be the end. But it's tough crowd. But you know what I think? Like whatever happens, and 3 years is a long way away. Like I used to love Phil Esposito's line when he asked him, "How come you're making so many trades?" He said, "Because I could be hit by a bus tomorrow." So I always loved that line. But I think the one thing that this says is, no matter what the future holds, and no matter what happens, you can never criticize him. If he goes through this contract, he's going to have played 13 years in Edmonton, and the last of those contracts is going to be unbelievably below market and team friendly. So, it's wild to talk about how a $25 million deal is below market, but we all know it is. And so I think at the very least, whatever happens in the future, the Oilers fans will know that Connor McDavid, he gave them everything.
I want to go back to that point about being below markets and certainly undervalued, or however you want to put that in a friendly term. But what does this mean for guys coming to market maybe next summer, like now a Jack Eichel? What does that do to the market? Because there's probably players out there going, Connor, you could have signed for $18 million a year, but you take the team-friendly $12.5 million deal. Yet you have the Kirill Kaprizov comparable out there now at $17 million. So where does the market now come, and where will teams try and point to be like, no, Connor McDavid's making 12.5, you're not going to get 15? How does that kind of shake out?
Well, it's such a great question, Jameson, because everything you said there is true. There's no doubt in my mind that teams are going to say when they're negotiating with their players, hey, this is what this player took, the best player in the league, and he took this number. So how can either we pay you more, or how can you not do something that's team friendly? And I quote this book all the time. And Brian, being a player who was represented by an agent, a very good one in his career, he will know that the players and the agents, their right answer in some of these situations is that may be his situation, but it's not my situation. And that book's called The Bald Truth by David Falk, who represented Michael Jordan. I remember it's one of the best sports books I've ever read. It's actually a business book too, and he talks a lot about that. And I do think you're going to see pressure. Like if I was a general manager, I would definitely go to my players, and I would definitely say, hey, look what he did. You have to do, if the best player in the world's willing to do this, we have to do that too. And I think you're going to see some players and some agents say, hey, that's his situation. It's not our situation. We never compare ourselves to Connor McDavid, and we won't compare our contract situation to him too. So what I've always found, Jameson, if you're a good negotiator, you are able to warp any situation to your advantage.
I like that. Good stuff, Elliot. We appreciate the insight as always. It's a beautiful day in Edmonton. We know that. Looks like a beautiful day where you are as well. So we appreciate it, and we can't wait to drop the puck on the regular season coming up in 24 hours.
And I know it's a beautiful day for a couple of Patriots guys with the big win over the Bills last night.
We're talking about on the walkover.
I know.
Well done.